My daughter-in-law has 1.2 million Instagram followers. They think she's a self-made success story. They watch her morning routines in her $800,000 home. They buy the products she recommends. They admire her authentic content about cutting off toxic family. What they don't see in her perfectly curated feed: my name on the mortgage. My credit cards funding her wardrobe. My loan guaranteeing her car. Last night, she posted a tearful video about finally finding peace away from negative people. This morning, I sent a document to every brand she works with. Title: The Real Story. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here with me today. Before I dive into my story, I'd love to know, have you ever supported someone who later turned that support into ammunition against you? Share in the comments if you've experienced something similar. Your stories matter to me. My name is Margaret. I'm 64 years old, and for the past 6 years, I've been living a double life. To the outside world, I'm the embarrassing mother-in-law that my daughter-in-law, Sienna, jokes about on social media. The woman with outdated clothes who shows up to family dinners with grocery store flowers. The one who drives a 12-year-old sedan while everyone else arrives in luxury cars. The one Sienna's followers pity in her Instagram stories. But here's what those 1.2 million followers don't know. I'm the reason Sienna has anything at all. I need to take you back to the beginning. To 2019, when my son Marcus first brought Sienna home to meet me. She was 26 then. Beautiful in that effortless way that comes naturally to some people. Long auburn hair, perfect skin, a smile that could light up a room. Marcus was absolutely smitten. They'd met at a marketing conference where she was working as a junior social media coordinator, and he couldn't stop talking about her creativity, her ambition, her drive. That first dinner at my home in Providence, Rhode Island, I remember watching her eyes scan my modest 3-bedroom house. It wasn't fancy, just a comfortable home I'd paid off after 30 years of working as a hospital administrator. But I saw something flicker across her face. Disappointment? Calculation? I couldn't quite place it then. Your home is so cozy, she'd said, and the pause before cozy spoke volumes. Marcus didn't notice. He was too busy telling me about Sienna's dreams of becoming a lifestyle influencer, of building a brand, of inspiring other women. She wanted to show people that you could create a beautiful life on a budget, that luxury didn't have to be expensive. That's wonderful, I'd replied, genuinely meaning it. There's something admirable about teaching people to live well within their means. Sienna smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. What I didn't realize that night was that I'd just failed her first test. You see, Sienna wasn't looking for someone to support her budget lifestyle brand. She was looking for someone to fund a luxury lifestyle while she pretended it was affordable. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you through how it all unfolded. Because the manipulation was so gradual, so carefully orchestrated, that I didn't see it until it was almost too late. Marcus and Sienna got engaged 4 months after that dinner. It was fast, but my son was 32 and had never been this serious about anyone. I was happy for him. I wanted to be the supportive mother who welcomed her daughter-in-law with open arms. The wedding was modest, a small ceremony at a historic venue in Newport with about 80 guests. Sienna handled all the planning, and she did it beautifully. She even created a wedding hashtag that got decent traction online. She had about 15,000 followers then, mostly friends and acquaintances, but she was growing. 2 weeks after the wedding, Sienna came to my house alone. Marcus was away on a business trip, and she said she needed advice. We sat in my living room drinking tea, and she opened up about their financial situation. "Margaret, can I be honest with you?" she asked, her eyes welling up with tears. "We're drowning. Marcus's student loans are more than we expected, and my income as a coordinator barely covers my car payment. We want to start our life together, maybe buy a small house, but we're so far from that dream." My heart broke for them. I remembered the struggle of being young and newly married, of trying to build a life with limited resources. "How much do you need for a down payment?" I asked. She named a figure, $60,000. It was substantial, but I had savings. I'd lived frugally my entire life, invested wisely, and had built a comfortable nest egg. "Let me help," I said. Consider it an early inheritance. The relief on her face seemed genuine. She hugged me, crying into my shoulder, thanking me over and over. "You won't regret this, Margaret. We'll make you so proud." What I didn't know was that she'd already picked out the house, not a small starter home like she'd described. An $800,000 property in the most exclusive neighborhood in Providence. The house was beautiful. I'll give her that. A renovated Victorian with 4 bedrooms, original hardwood floors, a chef's kitchen, and a backyard that looked like something from a magazine. When Sienna gave me the tour, she explained that they'd gotten an incredible deal and that Marcus's promotion at work meant they could almost afford the mortgage. Almost that. Word should have been my first clue. "We just need help with the down payment," she'd said, smiling that perfect smile. "After that, we'll be fine." I co-signed the mortgage. My excellent credit score got them a better interest rate, and my $60,000 covered the down payment. My name went on the deed as a co-owner, which Sienna said was just a formality for the bank. Within a week of moving in, Sienna's Instagram content changed. Suddenly, her feed was full of home organization hacks, budget-friendly decor tips, and how we afforded our dream home. The comments poured in. People wanted to know her secrets. How did a couple in their 20s afford such a beautiful house? Her answer? We saved aggressively, cut unnecessary expenses, and made smart choices. No mention of me. No mention of the $60,000 gift. No mention of my name on the mortgage. Her followers ate it up. Within 3 months, she'd gained 100,000 new followers. Brands started reaching out. Small sponsorships at first. A furniture company here, a kitchen gadget there. But they grew. And with every sponsorship, every brand deal, every affiliate link, Sienna's persona solidified. The self-made millennial who achieved the dream through hard work and smart choices. I should have said something then. I should have pulled her aside and asked her to be honest about how she'd acquired the house. But I didn't. Why? Because I loved my son, and I didn't want to create tension in his marriage. Because I told myself it didn't matter. Because I convinced myself that her success would eventually benefit Marcus, and by extension, me. I had no idea that this was just the beginning. That the house was only the first piece of Sienna's carefully constructed empire of lies. 6 months after moving into the house, Sienna came to me with another emergency. Her car had broken down. The repair costs were astronomical, and they couldn't afford a new vehicle on top of the mortgage. Could I co-sign a car loan? Just to help them get approved? The car she chose was a $75,000 luxury SUV, white, gleaming, perfect for Instagram photos. "I need it for content," she explained when she saw my hesitation. "Brands want to see a certain aesthetic. This is an investment in my career, Margaret. The sponsorships I'll get will more than cover the payments." I co-signed. My name went on another loan. A week later, her Instagram showed her in the driver's seat, sunglasses on, coffee cup in hand. With a caption about treating yourself and investing in quality, the post got 50,000 likes. The comments were full of women asking what she did for a living, how she afforded such a nice car, whether she had any tips for success. Her response to one comment is burned into my memory. "I work hard and don't rely on anyone else. Financial independence is everything." I remember reading that while sitting in my 12-year-old sedan in a supermarket parking lot, holding my phone and shaking hands. But I said nothing. And my silence cost me everything. The requests continued. Always framed as emergencies. Always presented with tears and gratitude. "Margaret, our furnace broke. We don't have the $8,000 for repairs. Could I borrow your credit card just for this one expense? I'll pay you back." She never paid me back. "Margaret, I have an incredible opportunity to attend an influencer conference in Los Angeles. It costs $5,000 for the ticket, hotel, and flights. This could change my career. Could I use your credit card? I'll reimburse you as soon as the brand deals come through." They never came through. Or they did, and the money went elsewhere. "Margaret, I need a new wardrobe for content creation. Brands want to see variety. Could I use your Nordstrom card? Just this once?" Just this once turned into every month. Over 2 years, I estimate Sienna charged over $120,000 to my credit cards. Designer clothes, professional photography equipment, furniture for room makeover content, business class flights for brand partnership trips, expensive dinners at trendy restaurants for foodie content. Every purchase became content. Every item she bought with my money was photographed, posted, and monetized. Her follower count grew 300,000, then 500,000, then 750,000, and with every milestone, her narrative strengthened. The woman who built an empire from nothing. The influencer who proved you didn't need family money or connections to succeed. The inspiration for every young woman who wanted to make it on her own terms. Here's what made it so insidious. Sienna never asked for large sums directly. It was always emergencies, always necessities, always investments that would pay off soon. And she was always so grateful, so tearful, so appreciative. She hugged me, called me the best mother-in-law in the world, posted the occasional story about family support, never specifying what kind of support or who was providing it. And Marcus? My son was completely in the dark. Sienna told him they were managing fine, that her influencer income covered their lifestyle, that the sponsorships were paying off. He worked long hours at his tech job and trusted his wife to handle their finances. I should have told him. I know that now, but Sienna had created a web so intricate, so carefully constructed, that exposing one lie would require explaining all of them, and I feared that doing so would destroy my relationship with my son. So I stayed silent. And the lies grew bigger. Somewhere around the time Sienna hit 800,000 followers, her content began to change again. She started posting about setting boundaries and cutting off toxic people. She talked about family, members who don't understand modern success, and relatives stuck in outdated mindsets. She never named me directly, but the implications were clear. One post showed a photo of her pristine, minimalist living room with the caption, "Sometimes the hardest part of creating the life you want is dealing with family members who don't support your vision." My mill thinks I should be more humble and less flashy. But this is my life. My success, my rules. The comments were brutal. Your MIL sounds jealous, older. People just don't understand hustle culture. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your success. Cut off anyone who doesn't celebrate your wins. I read every comment. Every single one felt like a knife. Another post, a few weeks later, showed Sienna organizing her closet, a closet full of designer clothes purchased with my credit cards. The caption, "Investment pieces versus cheap fashion. Why I choose quality over quantity, even if some people, looking at you, Mill, think I'm being excessive." Financial literacy means understanding value. More comments. More strangers defending Sienna against the judgmental Mill they'd never met. She posted videos of family dinners where I sat quietly in the background, my plain clothes and simple jewelry contrasting sharply with Sienna's designer outfits. She never showed my face clearly, always just enough to make me recognizable to people who knew us, but not enough to make me identifiable to strangers. The captions would say things like, "When family gatherings feel more like judgment sessions." Note to self, stop explaining your life choices to people who wouldn't understand them anyway. And here's the worst part. Some of those family gatherings were happening in the house I'd helped them buy, eating food purchased with credit cards in my name, while Sienna's followers praised her for being self-made. But I still said nothing. Because I'm an idiot. Because I was paralyzed by fear of losing my son. Because I genuinely believed that Sienna would eventually see what she was doing and stop. I was wrong. The breaking point came on a Tuesday afternoon in October. 3 months ago, I was at home, sorting through mail, when I found an envelope addressed to me from a legal firm. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside was a petition for guardianship. Sienna and Marcus were filing to become my legal guardians, claiming I was showing signs of diminished mental capacity and making questionable financial decisions. I read the document 3 times before the words fully registered. They were trying to take control of my assets, My bank accounts, my retirement savings, my house, everything. The petition cited evidence of my supposed incompetence. Excessive lending of credit cards to family members without proper documentation. Co-signing loans beyond her financial capacity. Failure to maintain adequate retirement savings at her age. Emotional decision-making regarding family financial matters. Every questionable decision they cited was something Sienna had manipulated me into doing. My vision blurred. My chest tightened. I couldn't breathe. She had systematically drained my finances, publicly humiliated me, and was now using my generosity as evidence that I was mentally unfit. And Marcus, my son, my only child, had signed the petition. That night I didn't sleep. I sat in my living room, the guardianship petition on the coffee table in front of me, and I thought about every moment of the past 6 years. Every request, every emergency, every Instagram post that painted me as the villain while Sienna played the hero. And I realized something. I wasn't a generous mother-in-law. I was a mark, a victim, a means to an end. Sienna had never loved my son for who he was. She'd loved what he could give her, a connection to middle-class stability she could exploit while claiming to have built everything herself. And I had let her do it. I had enabled every lie, funded every deception, and allowed myself to be erased from the narrative of her success. But not anymore. The next morning, I called my old friend Patricia, who worked as a forensic accountant. We'd been colleagues decades ago at the hospital, and she'd gone into private practice helping people untangle financial fraud. "Patricia, I need help," I said. "I think I've been systematically defrauded by my daughter-in-law." Over the next week, Patricia and I compiled everything. Bank statements, credit card bills, co-signed loan documents, screenshots of Sienna's Instagram posts, every piece of evidence that showed the gap between Sienna's public narrative and the private reality. The numbers were staggering. $60,000 down payment for the house, my name on the mortgage. Tior, $5,000 car loan, my name as co-signer. I'd been making payments for 18 months. 127,349.82 in credit card charges across 4 of my cards. $15,000 in emergency loans that were never repaid. Estimated total, $277,349.82. Nearly $300,000. My entire retirement savings, drained to fund an influencer lifestyle that millions of people believed was self-made. Patricia looked at the evidence with the cool, analytical eye of someone who'd seen financial abuse before. "Margaret, this is exploitation," she said. "Potentially criminal, depending on how the money was obtained and what representations were made. But more importantly, you have leverage. What do you mean?" The guardianship petition. "They're claiming you're mentally incompetent because of poor financial decisions. But you have evidence that every financial decision was made under false pretenses. Sienna manipulated you into providing funding while publicly claiming independence. That's fraud. And the moment you present this evidence, their petition falls apart. What should I do?" Patricia smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. "You fight back, and you let the truth destroy the lies." I hired a lawyer that same day. Her name was Jennifer Martinez, and she specialized in elder financial abuse. She was young, sharp, and had a reputation for being ruthless in court. "How far do you want to take this?" Jennifer asked after reviewing my documents. I thought about 6 years of humiliation, of watching my credit score drop while Sienna's influencer empire rose, of seeing my son's signature on a guardianship petition claiming I was incompetent. "As far as it takes," I said. Jennifer's first move was strategic and devastating. She sent demand letters to every entity connected to Sienna's financial life. The mortgage company, informing them of potential fraud and requesting a review of the loan. The car dealership, notifying them that the co-signer was revoking permission for continued use. All 4 credit card companies, disputing the charges and requesting investigations. The brands Sienna partnered with, alerting them to potential misrepresentation in her self-made narrative. But the most important letter went to Sienna herself. It outlined every dollar I'd provided, Every loan, every co-signature, every credit card charge. It demanded immediate repayment of the full amount, $277,349.82, within 30 days. And it included a warning. Failure to pay would result in public disclosure of the true source of her self-made success, including detailed documentation that would be shared with her followers, brand partners, and the media. Jennifer sent the letter on a Monday morning. By Monday afternoon, my phone was ringing off the hook. I didn't answer. Jennifer had instructed me not to engage directly. All communication had to go through her. But I did check Sienna's Instagram. She'd posted a story that morning, before receiving the letter, showing her morning routine. Coffee, meditation, a caption about protecting your peace from negative energy. By Monday evening, the story was deleted. Her entire account went dark. On Tuesday, Marcus showed up at my house. My son looked terrible. His eyes were red, his hair uncombed, his clothes wrinkled. He burst through my front door without knocking. "Mom, what the hell is this?" He was holding the demand letter. His hands were shaking. "It's exactly what it says, Marcus. Documentation of how much money I've given Sienna over the past 6 years." This can't be right. "These numbers, Mom, this is almost $300,000. $277,314.82 to be exact." He stared at me. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Why didn't you ask?" I countered. "Did you never wonder how Sienna afforded everything? How a couple with student loans and entry-level jobs bought an $800,000 house, drove luxury cars, took monthly trips to exotic locations? She told me it was from sponsorships, from her influencer income. And you believed her?" He collapsed onto my couch, his head in his hands. "I trusted her, Mom. She's my wife. She's also trying to declare me mentally incompetent so she can control my assets," I said, pulling out the guardianship petition. "Did you read this before you signed it?" The color drained from his face. "She said it was just a formality. That we needed to make sure you were protected as you got older. That it was normal for adult children to have legal oversight of elderly parents. I'm 64, Marcus. I'm not elderly. I'm not incompetent. And this isn't normal." He read through the petition, his expression shifting from confusion to horror as he realized what he'd signed. "Oh my God," he whispered. "What has she done?" That's when Sienna walked in. She'd been waiting in the car, I realized, watching to see how the confrontation played out. She looked different without the Instagram polish. No makeup, hair in a messy bun, wearing sweatpants instead of designer athleisure. For the first time since I'd met her, she looked ordinary. "Margaret, we need to talk," she said, her voice cold. "I don't think we do," I replied. "Anything you need to say can go through my attorney. You're making a mistake. If you pursue this, you'll destroy Marcus's life too. That house? His name is on the mortgage. The car? He drives it too. The credit cards? Some of those charges were for things he enjoyed. You'll ruin your own son. I'll ruin him." I stood up, years of suppressed anger finally breaking free. "You spent 6 years draining my retirement savings while publicly mocking me. You built an empire on my money while claiming to be self-made. You filed a guardianship petition to steal what little I have left. And you think I'm the one who'll ruin Marcus. Those followers, those brands, they're our livelihood," Sienna said, her voice rising. "If you expose this, we lose everything." "You mean you lose everything?" I corrected. "The followers who believe your lies. The brands who pay you to pretend you're authentic. The empire built on deception. Yes, you'll lose all of that. Good." "Mom, please," Marcus interjected. "There has to be a way to fix this without destroying everything." I looked at my son, at his desperate, pleading eyes, and for a moment, just a moment, I wavered. Then I remembered the Instagram posts. The comments calling me jealous, outdated, toxic. The public humiliation while I privately funded every aspect of their lives. "The only way to fix this is the truth," I said. Complete, public, devastating truth. Sienna didn't pay. Of course she didn't. She couldn't. Because despite having 1.2 million followers and a seemingly successful influencer career, she'd spent every dollar as fast as it came in, maintaining the illusion of wealth while actually being deeply in debt. Jennifer filed the lawsuit. And once it was filed, it became public record. The media found it within 48 hours. The first article appeared on a gossip blog. Influencer Sienna Hayes sued by mother-in-law for $277K, claims self-made. Success was funded by family. Then a lifestyle magazine picked it up. The dark side of Instagram success. How one influencer built an empire on someone else's credit cards. Then it went viral. The Reddit post had 45,000 upvotes. Influencer who preached cutting off toxic family was secretly using Emiel's money for her entire lifestyle. TikTok was brutal. Creators made reaction videos, timeline breakdowns, side-by-side comparisons of Sienna's self-made claims versus the lawsuit evidence. One video, which got 3.7 million views, showed Sienna's post about financial independence next to a photo of my name on her mortgage documents. The caption, "The only thing she's self-made is her audacity." Sienna tried to control the narrative. She posted a tearful video on Instagram, claiming the lawsuit was based on misunderstandings and that she'd always intended to pay back family loans. The comments weren't sympathetic. Family loans? You called your MIL toxic and outdated. Where's all that self-made energy now? So you used her credit cards and then tried to declare her incompetent? That's not a misunderstanding, that's elder abuse. Blocked. Unfollowed. You're disgusting. Her follower count started dropping. 1.2 million became 1.1 million. Then 1 million. Then 950,000. The brands pulled out. Every single sponsorship ended. Partnership announcements were deleted. Her affiliate links stopped working. The house went into foreclosure proceedings. My lawyer had informed the bank of the fraudulent circumstances around the mortgage, and they initiated a review. The car was repossessed. The dealership didn't want the liability of a contested co-signed loan. Her Instagram feed, once full of aspirational content, became a ghost town. She deleted most of her posts. The remaining ones, photos of the house, the car, the designer clothes, now looked less like inspiration and more like evidence of fraud. Within 3 weeks, Sienna's carefully constructed empire had completely collapsed, and I felt nothing but cold satisfaction. Here's where it gets interesting. A journalist reached out to me, a woman named Lauren Chen who wrote for a major online publication about influencer culture and social media ethics. "Margaret, I'd like to tell your story," she said. "Not just the lawsuit, but the pattern of what happened. How influencer culture incentivizes deception. How the pressure to appear successful can lead to exploitation. How platforms profit from these lies while victims suffer in silence." Jennifer advised me to do it. "Control the narrative," she said. "Right now you're the mill in Sienna's story. It's time to make her a footnote in yours." The article ran on a Friday morning. The headline, "The Real Cost of Instagram's Self-Made Success Stories. A Mother-in-Law's $277K Nightmare." Lauren's writing was devastating. She laid out the entire timeline, included screenshots of Sienna's most hypocritical posts, especially the ones about cutting off toxic family while using my credit cards, and interviewed experts about financial elder abuse in the influencer age. But the most powerful part was my own words. Quoted in the article, "I wanted to support my son's marriage. I wanted to be a good mother-in-law. Instead, I became a silent ATM, while my daughter-in-law used my generosity to build a brand based on lies. She didn't just take my money. She took my dignity, my reputation, and nearly my future." The worst part isn't the financial loss. It's knowing that 1.2 million people believed her lie that she did it all alone, that family support was toxic, that she was a self-made success. She was self-made the way a con artist is self-made, through deception, manipulation, and other people's money. The article went massively viral. It was shared over 200,000 times in the first 24 hours. News outlets picked it up. Morning shows called for interviews. Sienna's remaining followers, now down to 600,000, flooded her page with comments demanding accountability. Some of her old fans created entire Instagram accounts dedicated to exposing her lies, posting side-by-side comparisons of her advice versus the reality of how she'd actually funded her lifestyle. One account, A Sienna Truth Exposed, gained 50,000 followers in a week by systematically debunking every budget tip and financial advice post Sienna had ever made. But here's what surprised me: the support. My email inbox filled with messages from other mothers, fathers, grandparents who'd been financially exploited by adult children or in-laws. People who'd stayed silent because they were ashamed, because they feared losing relationships, because they didn't think anyone would believe them. Your story gave me courage to confront my daughter about the $80,000 she borrowed and never repaid. My son's wife did the same thing to me. I thought I was the only one. Thank you for speaking up. You've helped so many of us feel less alone. The messages numbered in the thousands, and I realized this wasn't just my story. It was a pattern, an epidemic of financial abuse hiding behind the veneer of family support and helping loved ones succeed. I started responding to the messages, connecting people with resources, sharing Jennifer's contact information for those who needed legal help, creating a support network for victims of family financial exploitation. Sienna's attempt to silence me by threatening public exposure had backfired spectacularly. Instead of destroying my reputation, the truth had elevated me into an unlikely advocate for elder financial abuse awareness. 2 months after the lawsuit was filed, Sienna and Marcus requested a settlement conference. They couldn't pay the full amount. That was clear. Between the foreclosure, the repossession, and the loss of influencer income, they were financially destroyed. But Jennifer had prepared for this. She'd done a full asset search and found things Sienna hadn't disclosed: savings accounts, cryptocurrency investments, even a small inheritance Sienna had received from her grandmother, but never mentioned to Marcus. In total, we could recover about $145,000 immediately. The rest would come through a structured payment plan, with Marcus personally guaranteeing the debt. That means if Sienna divorces you or declares bankruptcy, you're still responsible for paying your mother back, Jennifer explained to Marcus. Every single dollar, Marcus agreed. He'd been horrified by the full extent of Sienna's deception and was desperate to make things right. The settlement included several other terms. Sienna must post a public apology on all social media platforms, acknowledging the true source of funding for her lifestyle and taking full responsibility for misrepresenting her success as self-made. All existing content that referenced me negatively or implied I was toxic, unsupportive must be deleted. Sienna must create educational content, at least 10 posts, about the importance of financial transparency and the harm of misleading followers about the true source of influencer success. The guardianship petition must be withdrawn and a statement filed, confirming I am mentally competent. Sienna must never publicly discuss me, Marcus, or our family again without written permission. Sienna initially refused. You're destroying my career, she said at the settlement conference. You destroyed your career, Jennifer replied. We're just making sure you can't rebuild it on more lies. Sienna signed the settlement. The apology post went up on a Wednesday afternoon. Sienna's face was makeup-free, her eyes red from crying. The caption was long. Jennifer had insisted on specific language and included phrases like, I misrepresented my success, I exploited my mother-in-law's generosity, and I am deeply sorry for the harm I caused. The comments were merciless. Too little. Too late? This is only because you got caught. You're sorry you lost your followers, not sorry for what you did. The audacity to post this on the same account where you called her toxic. Her follower count dropped below 400,000. The educational posts she was required to make got minimal engagement. The influencer ecosystem had moved on, finding new faces to follow, new voices to trust. Sienna had become a cautionary tale, a symbol of everything wrong with influencer culture. Her name became shorthand for fake success and family exploitation. Marcus and Sienna moved into a small rental apartment. He's working 2 jobs to pay me back, his tech position during the day and freelance consulting at night. Every 2 weeks, without fail, a payment appears in my account. He and I are rebuilding our relationship. It's slow. There's hurt on both sides. His embarrassment at being deceived, my pain at his initial complicity. But we're trying. We have coffee every Sunday morning and we talk. Really talk, in a way we haven't in years. Sienna and I don't speak. She's no longer part of my life and I'm okay with that. Last I heard, she'd gotten a job as a social media manager for a small local business, using her skills in a way that doesn't require her to be the face of a brand built on lies. Marcus tells me they're in marriage counseling. He hasn't decided yet whether the relationship can survive what she did. I don't offer my opinion. That's his choice to make. As for me, my retirement savings are slowly rebuilding. I'll never fully recover the lost amount, even with the settlement payments. The emotional toll and years of stress can't be measured in dollars, but I've found something unexpected: purpose. I now volunteer with a nonprofit that educates seniors about financial exploitation. I speak at community centers, libraries, and churches about the warning signs of family financial abuse. I share my story, not to shame Sienna, but to empower others to recognize when generosity crosses into manipulation. The letters still come. Emails from people who saw the articles, who found my story on social media, who needed someone to tell them it's okay to set boundaries with family members who exploit your kindness. I answer every single one. You know what I've learned through all of this? That silence protects abusers. That shame keeps victims trapped. That the fear of creating drama or ruining relationships allows exploitation to continue. I stayed silent for 6 years because I loved my son and didn't want to jeopardize his marriage. But my silence didn't protect him. It enabled his wife to continue lying to him too. It didn't preserve our relationship. It poisoned it with resentment and hidden truths. The moment I chose truth over silence, everything changed. Yes, it was messy. Yes, it was public. Yes, it destroyed Sienna's carefully crafted image, but it also freed me. And inadvertently, it freed thousands of others who realized they weren't alone in their experiences. So let me ask you something, and I really want you to think about this. Have you ever stayed silent about something that hurt you because you were afraid of the consequences of speaking up? Have you ever let someone exploit your kindness because confronting them seemed harder than just enduring it? I did, for 6 years. And it cost me almost $300,000, my peace of mind, and years of my life that I'll never get back. But here's what I gained: my dignity, my voice, my power. Sienna thought she could use me and discard me. She thought she could erase me from the story of her success while using my money to fund every chapter. She thought that threatening exposure would silence me. She was wrong. The document I sent to her brand partners wasn't just evidence of financial transactions. It was the truth. And the truth, no matter how painful, how embarrassing, how complicated, is always stronger than lies. Today, when people Google Sienna's name, they don't find aspirational content. They find articles about deception. They find the lawsuit. They find my story. And when they Google my name, they find those articles too. But they also find the advocacy work, the support groups, the educational content about recognizing and stopping financial elder abuse. Sienna tried to make me a footnote in her success story. Instead, she became a warning in mine. Before I go, I want to ask you a few things. First, have you ever been in a situation where someone took advantage of your generosity? I'm not just talking about family. Maybe it was a friend, a partner, a coworker. Share your story in the comments if you're comfortable. Sometimes just saying it out loud helps. Second, if you're currently in a situation where someone is financially exploiting you, please know it's not your fault. Manipulators are skilled at making you feel guilty for their actions, at convincing you that you're the problem. You're not. And there are resources to help you. Lawyers who specialize in financial abuse, support groups, advocacy organizations. You don't have to stay silent. Third, if you're someone who's worried about a loved one being exploited, trust your instincts. Have the hard conversation. Offer support. Don't let shame or fear stop you from helping someone recognize what's happening to them. And finally, if you've made it this far in my story, thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for caring. Thank you for being the kind of person who reads a 50-minute story about a woman you've never met because you believe that stories matter, that truth matters, that holding people accountable matters. That's what Sienna's 1.2 million followers never understood. They thought they were following a success story. They were actually enabling a fraud. But you're here because you want the real story, the messy, complicated, painful truth. And that's the kind of audience I'm proud to have. So leave a comment, share your thoughts. Tell me if you think I did the right thing, or if you would have handled it differently. Let's have a real conversation about family boundaries, financial abuse, and the cost of keeping silent. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just my story. It's a story about all of us, about the choices we make when faced with exploitation, about the courage it takes to choose truth over comfort, and about the power that comes from refusing to be erased. Thank you for listening. Take care of yourselves. And remember, your generosity should never come at the cost of your dignity. I'll see you in the next story.